Meeting of congressional leaders and President Biden that was scheduled for today has been pushed to next week. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen will also meet next week with top U.S. bankers. Joining us now, Financial Services Committee member Congressman Ritchie Torres of New York. It's always great to have you on, Congressman. Good to see you again this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You would know, and I think you could probably sniff it out. Is there a deal in the air to be had? We heard that this delay is not for any reason other than that the staff might be of the opposing viewpoints. They may be making some progress, and maybe there is some fertile ground for something that we can do. Or do you think we're still going to default at this point? Is that your forecast?
Well, America's debt problem will become a debt crisis if we breach the debt limit. I mean, if we breach the debt limit, it's going to raise U.S. borrowing costs, which will cause us to become more indebted, not less. It would compound the very debt problem that Republicans are pretending to solve. And I find it alarming that I have colleagues in Congress who are prepared to breach the debt limit. I mean, anyone who's willing to breach the debt limit cares as much about fiscal responsibility as an arsonist cares about fire safety. So as far as I'm concerned, the hypocrisy of debt limit brinksmanship in the name of fiscal responsibility is so glaringly obvious that it should not be taken seriously.
Well, I'm not sure what you're saying, because you know what the political realities are, Congressman. There has been a House bill passed. You're in the House. You know the bill passed to raise the debt ceiling. So if the debt ceiling
bill cannot pass the Senate. So.
No, it hasn't passed the Senate, and neither has a clean deal can't pass the Senate either.
Look, the most fiscally responsible outcome is for Congress to raise the debt ceiling. But if Congress fails to act, then the president might have no choice but to invoke the 14th Amendment and do whatever is necessary to protect the full faith and credit of the United States.
Congressman, you're looking me straight in the face and saying that the House is not raising the debt ceiling. If the Senate and the president get together and work out something with the House, which has passed a bill to raise the debt ceiling, that will happen. So if it doesn't happen, it's because the Senate and the House aren't getting together with Speaker McCarthy to do it. That's not the House at this point that's pushing the country into default. It's not coming to the table like Speaker Pelosi went to Treasury Secretary Mnuchin in 2019 and said, I'm not going to do it unless we do this, A, B. This is not unheard of. And it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if we were to use the COVID funds, if we were to get something done on permitting. It's not like it can't happen to have some type of negotiation to raise the debt ceiling that accomplishes something good for debt. And it's going to happen. So I don't know. Why resist it?
Because as far as I'm concerned, one of the most dangerous facts of American politics is the weaponization of the debt limit. It's going to do more harm than good. The best approach to managing the debt problem in the United States is a strong U.S. economy. It's long-term productivity, which is going to be put at risk by a breach of the debt limit. So I just simply disagree with the premise of your question.
Okay. Well, you do agree that there are political realities and that Speaker McCarthy is not going to give you a clean debt limit, and you can't pass it. Democrats can't pass it themselves in the Senate. So those are the political realities of it. If you don't negotiate, then we will go to a default.
Look, a solution, so Speaker McCarthy's budget would cost 800,000 jobs by the end of 2024. A solution to the debt problem that stifles economic growth, that eviscerates the social safety net for our senior citizens and our essential workers and our veterans, that's no solution at all.
Well, we're talking about going back to 2022 levels of spending. I mean, I don't know if it's helpful to say it's going to eviscerate the social safety net, and no one's saying that the bill as it exists today is going to be the bill that the Senate and the president are able to negotiate with the House. It's going to be something that is palatable to the Senate so that they can get through there and get those 43 Republicans on board. It's going to be palatable to the House. So everybody's going to get something. But that's the way, isn't that? Joe Biden has done that in the past with debt ceiling and budget negotiations. Why is it so important to make a stand right now that could lead us to a default?
I think there's agreement that we should set the country on a fiscally sustainable trajectory. But that's a budgetary conversation. The debt limit is not a budget. It's not an appropriation bill. The debt limit simply means engaging in the fiscally responsible act of paying your bills and honoring your obligations and keeping your word. At what is at stake is the full faith and credit of the United States. And if confidence in the United States is lost, it's going to do irreparable damage to the American economy.
In the end, don't you think there's going to be a negotiated raise, Congressman? Don't you think that's going to be the outcome, or do you think there's going to be a default?
Either there will be a negotiated outcome or an invocation of the 14th Amendment. But the 14th Amendment is crystal clear that the validity of U.S. public debt shall not be questioned. Right. And we're going to do whatever's necessary to avert the crisis.